Hey everybody, it's Charlie and Nathan from Daily Motor, and today we've got a comparison between Tesla's Model Y SUV compact crossover and the subcompact Hyundai Kona electric. Now yes, before you start mouthing off in the comments, we know these are not exactly comparable. You can pick one of these up for about $20,000 less than the Model Y. But that doesn't mean that somebody looking for an electric crossover of some sort might not be interested in both models. At the end of the day, there's not a ton of options in this segment. And with Tesla changing the prices of their cars every 2.5 weeks, you never know how much this is going to cost. Believe it or not, the new price of both of these cars, the Tesla was actually cheaper. We paid 43 something out the door after destination for our Model Y. It was a standard range, base car, no options, base paint and everything. And this is a fully loaded Kona electric, rocking the limited trim, all the features. So that's actually about $44,000. So yes, they're not exactly the same class, they're not exactly the same cost now in October of 2021, but back up 7 months and they were actually very competitive in price, and you never know, in another 5 months they might be competitive again. So we're here, enjoy, we're gonna kind of try to skim through, hit the important parts, talk about the merits and maybe some of our complaints on both. First off, the looks. I actually think they're fairly comparable when it comes to looks, because we were talking the other day on our live drive, they're both kind of weird. Do you have a preference toward one or the other?
I like the looks of the Tesla better.
The
Kona looks good. I just like the Tesla more.
This color is kind of neat on the Kona. It might be tough to come up in camera, but it's actually a very subtle metallic green, although it just looks gray on first glance. But I do have to say, this charging door right up in the front does kind of break up the front in a way that's not super attractive. I wouldn't call either of these cars beautiful or conventionally attractive, but maybe it's just because I've grown to the looks of the Model Y a little, I'm not sure, but the Kona's not bad. But yeah, I'd give this maybe like a 6 out of 10 in attractiveness, and this like a 4.5.
You also got the hips on the Model Y.
That is a good point. Once you get past the front fascia, the Model Y actually looks kind of neat. It's got this wide look to it with some streamlined haunches in the back, and the Kona from the back just looks like an SUV. And I actually think the back of the Tesla is quite attractive, between its lights, its little lip. Another thing I want to point out is we do technically own this Model Y. We've got about 17,000 miles on it, so we're very, very familiar. I've driven the Kona electric a handful of times, but it's been a while, and I've had this one for about a week, so this one's a little newer to us. Obviously, there might be a little bit of confirmation bias as well, but we're going to try to keep it fairly objective.
The other thing to point out is the Model Y is a lot bigger than the Kona.
Yes, this is a subcompact crossover. That is a compact crossover. If we're talking numbers, this has about 48 cubic feet of storage with the seats down, 76 with the Tesla, and that's not even counting in the front.
So yes, you can fit more stuff in the back, and there's more space in the rear, but maybe that's not too important to you. Then it becomes comparable.
Exactly.
It's cross-shopping.
If you're just 1 or 2 people driving regularly and you don't carry a lot of stuff, this might be totally fine for you. In fact, you might enjoy kind of the lighter driving dynamics a bit of this one. In the trunk, you pretty much have a trunk, a net, very minimal underfloor storage. It's there, there's something, but it's kind of cheap the way they sort of just planted this styrofoam, but it is there. And you do have a cargo cover, so that's nice. And to reach up and fold the seats, you sort of can just reach up and do it, although this does get in the way a little bit.
But you can definitely take that out.
Yes, yeah, you could yank that out real quick. In the Tesla, you get a power opening trunk. You don't get that in the Kona, which I could take or leave. Honestly, sometimes waiting for it to come up and come back down is annoying. But the Tesla did a really good job at maximizing the cargo space in here. You have these big storage wells that go very deep. You can do a lot. Under storage, where you can see we keep our reusable shopping bags. That's a very deep, usable compartment. And then you take that out, and you have even more storage right here. You can see we keep our charger. We used to have some towels. I don't know what Alyssa did with those. We've got an umbrella and a special extension cable for charging this car. Very big. And then on top of all of that, when you're ready to fold the seats down, you can release them. You can't put them back up from here, but you release that and you get a very large amount of space.
That is a lot.
And you can even get a third row with the Tesla.
Huh.
Yeah, it's tight. It's kids
Oh,
only.
yeah, that's right.
But yeah, you can get a third row.
Don't they face backwards?
Nope, that's in the Model S.
Oh.
Yep. Back seat. I'm gonna hop on in there and kind of demonstrate.
It's heavy.
Also, the seat is pushed all the way back in the front because of easy entry.
But still, I mean, I got a few inches of leg room.
Yep.
So imagine if Jeremy Clarkson was sitting right here.
He'd be totally fine with height. Nathan's
Yep.
5'10". He's got knee room. He's got headroom. You do have a center flip-down armrest, and you can recline the seats right here. You get quite a good amount of recline.
I've actually sat back here for long periods of time. It's very comfortable.
Yeah. Yep. Good amount of space. Some door storage. All set and good.
Now for the Kona.
The Kona is not awful. You might think, this being a subcompact crossover, you'd be in a bad spot. But again, 5'10". He's got knee room.
I will say
He's got headroom.
the seats are softer in this than they are in the Tesla.
Okay. Hyundai does a nice leather.
They do a nice leather. And you got a center pull down with cup holders.
Yep.
Very nice, very comfortable. The only thing is, if I scoot over into the seat that has my seating position in it.
That's a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
Now you can see how if you had a rear-facing car seat, that would get a little tough.
Yep.
Yep.
But I mean, you could, unless you had two car seats, you could just put it in the seat that's not all the way back.
You're right. A little bit less tech. You've got one USB-A port in this. You've got two USB-Cs in the Tesla, but you still have some door storage, and neither one is exactly a penalty box in the rear. Stepping up to the front, you do see a good amount of technology in the Kona. Heated and cooled seats, something you do not get with the Tesla, only heated seats.
Materials are really nice. You got a little bit of hard plastic, but everything's solid feeling, and everything you do touch is very solid, either nicer plastic or leather, like these buttons.
And you mentioned as well, everything makes sense in here. When you drive it, you are immediately familiar. It feels like a car.
And you know what I love that Hyundai did with this? Rotary knobs. They're digital. They come up on there, but they're rotary.
Yeah.
And they're super solid. Like, it doesn't move an inch. They're like the perfect weight, the perfect feel. Hyundai does really good interiors.
They do. All the buttons feel nice. They're symmetrical. They look good. They make sense. I love the layout of most modern Hyundai vehicles. Now, the same kind of can and cannot be said with the Model Y. The layout manages to be simple because there's nothing there. There's you have to learn some of the tips and tricks in the Tesla. Very spacious, the classic minimalist layout. Everything essentially is controlled with the center screen. Once you get used to it, especially younger people, or I should say more tech-savvy people, they can get used to it pretty well, but admittedly, it's not as easy to use as the Hyundai. You don't have nice physical buttons that you can hit. I mean, the toggle switches and stuff for like the heated and cooled seats, the climate. Even if you don't mind the setup, you have to admit it's easier to do in the Hyundai. You can't get any easier than physical buttons. Two wireless device chargers, some nice cup holders, a bunch of storage, which we'll talk a little bit more about when we get back in the Hyundai. But this is kind of just there. A whole lot of it. You do have to keep this piano black plastic clean. It does get some dust on it.
Materials in this are very nice.
Yes.
Tesla does a great job. Every single thing in this car is soft touch.
That's a good point, actually. I never really thought of that, but yeah, you have very, very few, if any.
And if it's not soft touch, it's either aluminum or like a nice glossy plastic, or even this. I don't know if this is real or fake wood.
I think it is a real wood, like a sustainably grown wood.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, Tesla manages, they keep it simple, but that way it manages to be nice and simple.
Yep.
One last thing we got to talk about before we get on the road, frunks. For the Tesla, reach in here, pop open the frunk, and you can see a whole bunch of room featuring Alyssa's boots. She likes to use the frunk to put her muddy boots in here. She doesn't have to worry about getting the back dirty. This is a hard plastic, so very easy to clean out. A lot of space. We put cans in there, or just all sorts of random things. Adds to the usability of the vehicle. And even though, yes, Teslas, they're not magical, they still have all the drivetrain components, Tesla manages to make it seem like their vehicles are magic, and there's no engine or anything. It just runs on something that you can't see. Whereas the Hyundai, is actually based on a car with a gas motor. So because of that, it puts all the drivetrain components where the gasoline motor would go in the normal car.
So it looks like you have an engine, but if you
Give that a good yank.
take this off,
It's a drive motor. That's doing all the powering. You've got batteries up underneath the car and scattered around, but at the end of the day, that's where it's powering the two front wheels, and we will definitely see what front wheel drive gets you with an electric vehicle once we get these on the road. But for people like us, you and I understand that cars need all these components. Even if they're electric, you still have your 12-volt battery, you still have your fluids and brake fluids and things like that, right? But Tesla makes it seem like, oh no, we don't have any of this ugliness. So it's a little bit more honest, the Hyundai, but also maybe you could argue not as clever of engineering. But I think when we see Hyundai vehicles like the Ioniq 5 that were built to be electric from the ground up, they're going to be a little bit more streamlined.
if Hyundai could do all this with just a regular gas platform, imagine what they can do with
Exactly.
something built from the ground up that's meant to be electric.
Exactly. Cool. Well, let's take the Hyundai out first. So before I even get in the car, we can hear the sound of Hyundai, if you want to call it that. It always makes this sound up to 25 miles per hour. And and there's the reverse sound, even louder. And then when he puts it into park, it's completely gone. It does get a little bothersome to me because I'll be driving around on a nice peaceful night. I'm the only one on the road. I'm doing like 20 or so. And I want it to be quiet and peaceful, and it's not because of that stupid noise. A good time to point out battery specs. The Kona Electric is running a 64 kilowatt hour battery, whereas the Tesla only has about 53 kilowatt hours. No one knows 100% for sure how many, but it's pretty established, 53 kilowatt hours. So even though the EPA estimated ranges are fairly similar, you've got 244 for the Tesla and 255 for the Hyundai, you're actually going to see more real world range out of this. We tested on the highway at about 225 miles of highway range, whereas the Tesla only gets about 180. So right away, we see the familiarity like we were talking about. You've got buttons for everything, whether it's drive mode, heated steering wheel, heated and cooled seats, climate, nav, media. You've got some wireless device charging, cup holders. Storage is more limited though. You do have this neat under area passage that you can put things. I know Alyssa was able to fit her whole person there. And you have some storage here, but again, very conventional. Not exactly the huge storage area of the Tesla, but it's a smaller car at the end of the day. One thing you do have in the Hyundai that you do not in the Tesla is sounds of nature. People like to say Teslas are peaceful, but can you sit in a lively forest while you're stuck in traffic in Teslas? I didn't think so. Now, could you just turn your phone onto YouTube and play some peaceful nature sounds? Yes. But it's not built in the way it is Tesla. Or if your passenger really needs to pee and they're trying to hold it until the rest stop, you can turn on rainy day. That'll help. One thing you do not have in the Tesla explicitly is drive modes, and in this you do. You have Eco, Normal, and Sport. Nathan has it in Eco mode right now. It changes the gauges a little bit, makes them look different depending on drive mode.
Using my regenerative braking.
Yes, that's another thing you have in this car is adjustable regen modes. You can go everywhere from 0 all the way up to 3, and then there's actually a 4th if you hold the left paddle down, and it is adjusted by the paddle shifter. So you can use the right paddle shifter to reduce your amount of regen and left paddle shifter to increase it.
So if I just pull in this paddle right here,
that's max regen then?
Actually, no.
It might be making a little bit less regen because the battery's pretty full.
So right now, I was watching it earlier, so it's
Okay.
on 2 right now. If I pull it, it just goes up to 3.
But it's a stronger 3. Because if you put it to 2, or put it to 3 right now and let off, now pull the paddle. See, there is a difference. You can see that regen meter goes about a quarter or a half of a notch.
Let's go into normal mode.
Really not that different than Eco.
Yeah, but plenty of power to get up to speed, doing about 60.
This is not a slow car. It's certainly torquey, low off the line. 0 to 30 is very quick. But the main difference between the driving of this car and the Model Y for most people is this is front wheel drive. And that really starts to show when you try to drive it spiritedly, whether you're cornering, accelerating, maybe you're even just taking off from a stop and not trying to drive spiritedly. You will light up the tires in this car.
The other thing about this car is it does not have nearly the same amount of grip that the Model Y does, or really any Tesla.
No.
We can haul around this corner in the Tesla, but in this, these eco-friendly tires just immediately start to slip, and as soon as you give it any amount of power, the tires just light up. But when you need to overtake someone,
still strong up to highway speeds.
It's best around 0 to 30. Coming into the corner though, you really have to make sure you slow down so you don't slide off into the guardrail. Which is something I do really appreciate about Tesla models, is they put a lot of care into somehow making them perform really well in corners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Teslas feel like they're designed for sporty California roads. So you drive over something like this, and the Hyundai takes it honestly pretty well. I mean, these are fairly big bumps, and they're soaking them up. It doesn't feel like a luxury car, but it feels confident. So we'll try to do a 0 to 60 in this car. It will certainly result in a bit of slippage, but with traction control on, we should be able to get some sort of what?
I was about to do it there, and then it was just like, It's like, you see those NPC moment memes, and it's like, what? What? Alright, so I'll do about right here.
Yep.
Alright. Should I do it just smash it full throttle?
Yep.
Alright. Ready, set, go.
You can hear the car fighting for grip, but it gets going and honestly pulled pretty strong.
60.
That was not bad.
Should we do it with traction control off?
Yeah, let's demonstrate that same thing with traction control off.
How do you do that?
On the left side. Way over there.
Oh.
Hold it.
So, holding traction control off.
There you go.
Alright. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, it was both wheels that time. It was it doesn't even squeal.
It just makes a whirring sound as you cheese grate your tire.
And just to demonstrate how easy it is to do that, doing 20. That's all the way up to 40. It's just spinning.
It's like perfume.
Yeah.
A perfume of tire is what Hyundai should advertise.
It's so comical, honestly.
Oh my god!
Holy.
Oh, I can't see the car.
You've got power adjustment seats for the driver, but not for the passenger, so I'd have to manually jack these seats.
People must just get so confused when you do that in this car, because it's like, who did that?
Yeah.
Was it you, Mustang? No, I swear it wasn't me.
Everyone talks about Tesla's autopilot, but Hyundai actually has a very good active lane keeping. So if you turn traction control back on, and then hit the cruise button, and then once we get up to this corner, that little steering wheel will turn green. It's gonna lose it right here, but then you can just let your hands off the wheel, and it does it itself.
Wow. That is really good, actually.
Right? And it'll do it actually for longer than the Tesla will before you have to touch it.
Wow.
Yeah, it just... Hyundai doesn't even, like, advertise it really or anything, but it is practically autopilot in the same way that a Tesla is.
Let's see how we'll handle this. Well, pretty good.
Yeah,
I haven't touched the wheel yet once.
I know. It's just gonna make it right through this corner. It stays right in the middle of the lane.
No ping-ponging or anything.
No. And what's even better about this system than Tesla's is when Nathan goes to change lanes right here on the left, it'll disable itself, no bings or bongs, changes lanes, and then as soon as he comes back over, he'll get another green steering wheel, and he's set again.
Wow, that
nice.
is really easy.
Yeah. Yeah, whereas Tesla, you have to double tap, here, boom, boom, turns your music down, interrupts your passenger, and then you're driving,
Really?
and then, yeah,
That's annoying.
yeah, I know. How's it going to take this corner?
Oh my gosh. Oh, it just say, oh, now it's back.
Yeah. And you can get that all the way down on, like, Elantras. Like, it's crazy how good it is. In fact, even the Kia Rio
Wow.
comes with that system.
All right, let's take this roundabout spiritedly. It is a lot of fun. It's doesn't obviously it's not going to perform as well as a Tesla, but it's in some ways a lot more fun.
Yeah, it's simpler, it's more pure, it feels cheaper, but that makes you feel like you can have more fun with it in a way.
Yep.
And everything's really solid. Like you mentioned before, everything is just, it feels like a well-built machine, and it's playful.
And what's the warranty like on these?
10 years, 100,000 miles
Wow.
for first owner. Yeah, 6 years, 60,000 miles for second owner. But I'm sure the battery warranty is even longer for the second owner, probably 80,000 or something like that. So longer standard warranty than the Tesla. And honestly, if you get the SEL trim, might not have all the features, the power seats and the leather and everything, but you're still getting the same good drivetrain. And so for $34,000 plus destination minus the federal tax credit, you could get one of these for less than $30,000 with tax credit and have a car with a good amount of range. It's quick, it's decently spacious. Honestly, a lot of good about it.
You know what my least favorite thing is about it?
That noise.
Yes, that noise.
I know.
That whir.
Yeah. I really hope you can get rid of that somehow, fuse or something like that, because it just gets annoying.
Yeah.
And some people will be like, oh, it's federal mandate. No, it's not. No, it's not. And even if it is, you could come up with a better noise.
Yeah.
Give me a V8 sound.
Do it in reverse. Reverse is fine.
Yeah. But listen how loud that is.
Yeah. Officer, I had to do 25 in this 15 because otherwise my stupid noise doesn't go away.
Compared to the Model Y, I think this is a better value. I think you're getting less, obviously, but I don't think you're getting as much less as you're paying. So if you actually do really care about stretching your dollar, this is a much better buy than a Model Y. But let's hop into the Model Y and talk about what it does provide for that extra $20,000, $10,000, depending how it's spec'd. All right, so right away, no cooled seats, much to Nathan's dismay.
My butt's hot.
Dual zone climate control though, something you do not have in the Hyundai. But right away, it's a more unique driving experience. That's what I always come back to with Tesla, is it doesn't really feel like anything else. The mixture of the center mounted screen, the simplicity of the layout, but also you've got very quick steering. It's a only 2 turns lock to lock steering ratio. All the materials feel nice, but also a little bit more basic. I do think Tesla has really perfected their throttle and brake inputs. Nathan has a power seat over there, which is good. Do not get that in the Hyundai. Sound system's better in the Tesla. Headlights are honestly pretty comparable. They're both pretty bright. You do have this big panoramic roof, although you cannot open it. In the Hyundai, you just get a standard sunroof, but you can open it. No Android Auto or Apple CarPlay in the Tesla Model Y, something you do get in the Hyundai. In fact, if you get the SEL Hyundai, you actually get wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, but not in the Limited. Much more interior space, as I was saying. You got these big center wells, lots of spots to put things, but no underneath pass-through.
The ride is definitely a bit firmer in this than the Kona.
Yep. Yeah, the whole car feels sportier. Rear-wheel drive definitely helps that. Bigger tires, stiffer suspension. Teslas were designed to feel lively and sporty, but a little bit of the downside of that is they didn't do a whole bunch of sound deadening, so this is probably pretty comparable in noise compared to the Hyundai. Hyundai wasn't exactly super quiet either.
You know, another thing this car comes with, kitty prints on the windshield.
Aw, cute.
Or you can tell one slid down it.
Some people complain about the center-mounted display, I really don't mind it at all.
I like it
in terms
a
of
lot.
speed. If you're looking straight ahead at the road, you either have to look down for your speed or you have to look over. I mean, it's the angle. It's not a huge deal. Both cars have a fairly apt audio voice speaking function, but Tesla's is really good. It's probably better than any other car I've ever used. You can just do something like navigate to the nearest Starbucks. And right away, you just get navigating to the nearest Starbucks. It doesn't have to tell you anything. You get a whole list of how close all of them are, where they all are on this nice big map. You can just be like, oh, let's go to D. Click D, boom, navigate, you're going.
That's the other thing about the Tesla is you got this amazing navigation screen.
Yep.
Just get Starbucks out of there. I mean, it's super responsive. You can just, let's go to Texas. Go to Dallas. Do that. And we're in Dallas. Easy.
Yeah. And if you pay the $10 a month, you can get satellite maps and everything.
Wow.
And as Nathan was saying earlier, this one is just so much sportier. You just,
Oh, geez.
even at 55 miles per hour, you hit it and it pulls hard. We're only at 77% battery, but
you go into a corner, it's just, oh my god.
yeah, it was squealing at that speed in the other car. Let's go around and try to do it again and see if we can get a clear one.
It is a lot faster too.
Yes. And no paddles to worry about. Just drive. It's like a very, very souped up go-kart. Or golf cart.
Are you 2-pedal driving?
I am. I mean 2 foot?
2 foot.
Yep. I think max speed around here was about 40 with the Hyundai.
No, lower than that, like 35. Maybe. Yeah, that was 40 going around there.
Yeah, I think it was about 35 with the Hyundai.
30 or 35.
Yeah. And the Tesla, even being a much larger vehicle, is so happy to do this sort of thing too. I mean, you just toss it around. Tons of grip, tons of power. A few little rattles here and there, but this car also has 17,000 miles compared to the Hyundai being brand new. Although the Hyundai probably would last longer without getting any rattles than this would. Do a quick driver change. Column shifter too, one of my favorite
The other
features.
thing, watch this. Buttons for door handles. You might think it's like stupid and overcomplicated. It's not. Just push, open.
Yep.
Alright, so I am now in Charlie's seating position. I just click once there to Nate Dog. My position.
Not only that, but if Nathan were to have gotten in this car alone without me here, his phone would have automatically set the driving position, everything for him. The car would have been like, oh, this is Nathan, and had everything ready to go for him when he got in. And that's so helpful for me and Alyssa. I mean, we both drive this car. If I go in to drive like I did today, no change in anything except for this mirror.
And it's really fast! And it's not even the performance one.
No, this is the opposite of the performance one. This is the slowest Tesla they make.
Come in here, turn. Oh, it's so fast. Boom. 60.
But Nathan brought up a good point with talking about the driver's features. A lot of owning the Tesla, the value isn't really seen on paper so much. What it's seen in the actual ownership experience. The fact you have this vast supercharging network, which works so well. If we wanted to do something like, all right, we're going to go to Chicago. First of all, we could say, navigate to Chicago. It's going to go right there. It's going to say, okay, it's 210 miles away. Go ahead. It's going to calculate the route, and then it's going to tell us what superchargers we need to stop at and for how long to get there. Now, essentially, for all intents and purposes, most superchargers are the same. Yes, technically some are a little bit faster than others, but you're going to get pretty much the same speed charging out of any supercharger. Doesn't matter where you go. And that's not the case with DC fast charging in the Hyundai. You could go to a DC fast charger that only gives you 50 kilowatts. You could get one that has a 350 kilowatt max. Although what your car can actually take is going to incredibly vary. You don't know how many people are going to be at the chargers. You don't know how many are going to be there. Superchargers, you're going to know exactly how many people are at each supercharger. Like, watch this. If I zoom out, and go to the Ann Arbor supercharger right here, there's a little 6 right there. That shows me there are 6 open stalls at the supercharger. So if Nathan and I wanted to drive over there and charge up, we would know that there are going to be spots for us. So a lot of owning a Tesla, the value doesn't necessarily come on paper the day you buy the car. The value comes in the things like having a very well-made app with which to control your car. It comes with all of these over-the-air updates, adding new features, things like Disney Plus that you can watch while you're stopped charging up or something, or all these cool games that you can play. I can't open the theater right now because we're in drive. Neat features like they added a car wash mode a few months ago, which added functionality to the car where before, if you sprayed water on the charge door, it would pop open. Now it doesn't do that when you have the car in car wash mode, and it'll keep the automatic wipers off and things like that. So again, a lot of owning the Tesla, the cool parts come with just the ownership experience.
Not only that, you can play a video game with the steering wheel and brake pedal.
Yeah.
What car can you do that with?
Yeah, and those things sound gimmicky. They sound like, oh, well, I don't need that. It's like, yeah, you don't. But if you are spending a little bit more money in some cases, it's making it a cooler purchase.
And it's just cool to show. It's like, can your car do that? No, it can't. Can my car do that? Yes, it can.
Here you go, clean on ramp. No wheel spin.
All-wheel drive.
Nope, rear wheel.
Oh, rear wheel, I forgot.
Whipping around the corner.
Traction control does kick in around 55 miles an hour. 82. It is much easier to engage the cruise control and auto steer.
Well, only because you know what to do. The Hyundai's literally just one button.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And it panics a bit here. Let's get into the lane.
And the Tesla actually has a camera right here, and it is watching you. So if you look away,
texting.
Yep, it'll yell at you sooner than if you just have your eyes.
One thing I noticed, did they adjust? Can I now do more than 5 miles an hour over the speed limit?
Only on highways. You've always been able to do it on highways, but on back roads and B roads you can't.
So, 62.
Yeah, they consider this to be a highway.
Not doing anything, not doing anything. Start to give me a little flash. Kind of like a subtle, like, hey, don't forget, you have hands.
It'll go longer now, though, because the camera is enabled.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Let's see how long it will go for. What? Oh, I didn't like something there.
Yeah. Weird.
Still not touching the wheel. How will it handle this curve? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And I'm running out of room to actually be able to test it.
Yeah. So both very comparable systems. Very competitive.
Is that the guy?
I think it is. Not flailing his arms anymore. So if both cars were $44,000, as both of these were new, I would take this.
Yes, I would. And the main thing is supercharging, all the cool random features. You just like, in some ways, I like the way the Hyundai drives over this.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of other ways, I like this more. And it's like, when it comes to like the actual driving aspects, it's a wash.
Yes.
When it comes to things that don't really have to do with the car itself, like the charging network and the
App,
yeah,
things like that.
it's like there's no way I could choose, when it comes to value, there's no way I could choose the Hyundai.
Well, that being said, now in today's market, the base Kona starts at $20,000 less than a Model Y, and you're getting fairly similar range with that long range Y versus the Kona. And in that case, I could definitely see the argument for going with the Hyundai. It kind of just depends on where you're at financially, how much you value the money being spent on your car versus being spent on other experiences, and maybe what car it is. Is it your only car? Because if it's your only car, I feel like you got to go with the Tesla.
Yeah.
The road tripping is so much easier with the supercharger network. You're going to get a cooler experience. It's just going to be a better car overall. But if you're buying a second or a third car, maybe, I could really see the argument for the Hyundai.
Yeah.
You know, go in, because not only is it $34,000, but you can get the $7,500 tax credit. So a family that's making maybe, say, combined household $80,000, $90,000 a year, a base Kona N or a Kona Electric is only going to cost them like $25,000, less than half a Model Y. So at that point, you kind of got to go with the Hyundai.
Yeah.
But if money is less of a thing for you and you just kind of want the best product, Model Y. And I don't think anyone's going to be too blown away with that response because, look, I mean, they're very different cars. Another thing I was thinking about as we were driving over here that the Tesla has that I'm really surprised more manufacturers haven't come out with is the Sentry mode and dash cam features. Anytime you honk the horn with the Tesla, it saves footage from front-facing, side-facing, and rear-facing cameras onto your USB drive in the car. Like, that's just such a nifty ownership type thing that you never really even think of to compare on a spec sheet. But when you own the car and either something cool happens or something bad happens, like an accident, you've got it on camera on the Tesla, not the case in essentially any other vehicle. So they're both cool cars in their own ways, but fortunately, we have difference in the U.S. market, and you know, and the new car market in general has so many different options, and I could see an argument for getting the Kona Electric. But what I'm actually really excited about is the new Hyundai products coming down the line. Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, those being built ground up to be electric vehicles. Those are going to give serious competition to Tesla. Cool, well, thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on either vehicle, check the links in the description. We've got a whole playlist on Tesla content, and then we've got videos on the Kona as well. And we'll see you on the next one. We're Charlie and Nathan from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.